Question number 1. In a group audit, foreign financial statements are adjusted to conform to US GAAP before being consolidated. Who is responsible for evaluating the appropriateness of that adjustment? Letter A. The component auditor who audited the foreign subsidiary. Letter B. The group engagement partner, the group auditor. Letter C. Both the group auditor and the component auditor equally. Letter D. Neither auditor, since the adjustment is management's responsibility alone. Correct answer is letter B. Explanation. Letter B is correct because responsibility for evaluating whether the GAAP conversion adjustment was done appropriately rests with the group auditor, since it's the group auditor who is ultimately opining on the consolidated financial statements as a whole. The component auditor's role is centered on the foreign subsidiary's own statements, not the conversion adjustment layered on top. Question number 2. Before reissuing a prior year's audit report, should the predecessor auditor obtain a representation letter from management, from the successor auditor, or from both? Letter A. From both management and the successor auditor. Letter B. From management only. Letter C. From the successor auditor only. Letter D. Neither. No representation letter is needed for a reissuance. Correct answer is letter A. Explanation. Letter A is correct because the predecessor auditor needs assurance from 2 different angles before standing behind an old report again. Confirmation from management that nothing has changed that would affect the prior statements, and confirmation from the successor auditor about anything discovered during the current audit that might affect the prior period. Question number 3. Under which of the following circumstances would an auditor reporting on comparative financial statements most likely change the opinion previously issued on the prior year's financial statements? Letter A. The prior year's financial statements, on which a qualified or adverse opinion was expressed, have since been restated. Letter B. A predecessor auditor is reissuing their original report unchanged. Letter C. The current year's report is modified due to a lack of consistency. Letter D. The prior year's financial statements were restated following a pooling of interests. Correct answer is letter A. Explanation. Letter A is correct because if the prior year's financial statements have actually been restated to fix whatever caused the original qualified or adverse opinion, the auditor's updated report on that prior period should reflect the improved statements, not the old problem. Simply reissuing an unchanged report or reacting to unrelated changes, like a consistency issue in the current year, wouldn't affect the prior year's opinion. Question number 4. A predecessor auditor reissues a report for comparative financial statements. How should that reissued report refer to the successor auditor? Letter A. By naming the successor auditor and summarizing their findings. Letter B. By stating that the successor auditor's work was reviewed and found satisfactory. Letter C. By including a joint signature with the successor auditor. Letter D. By not referring to the successor auditor's report or work at all. Correct answer is letter D. Explanation. Letter D is correct because the predecessor auditor's reissued report is entirely about the prior period they themselves audited, and it stays that way. Mentioning the successor auditor's name, findings, or work would blur the line between 2 separate, independent audits and reports. Question number 5. An entity that follows GASB, Governmental Accounting Standards Board, standards makes a departure from GAAP that the auditor believes is justified. What type of opinion should the auditor issue? Letter A. An unmodified opinion, with a separate emphasis of matter paragraph explaining the departure. Letter B. A qualified opinion, since any departure from GAAP requires some modification. Letter C. An adverse opinion, since GASB departures are inherently material. Letter D. A disclaimer of opinion, pending resolution of the departure. Correct answer is letter A. Explanation. Letter A is correct because once the auditor genuinely believes the departure is justified, the opinion itself doesn't need to be qualified or made adverse. Instead, the auditor simply adds an emphasis of matter paragraph explaining the departure so readers understand what happened and why it was appropriate. Question number 6. An entity presents only the current year's financial statements, not comparative statements. In which of the following situations may the auditor issue a standard unmodified report without further modification? Letter A. The auditor was unable to audit an investment in a foreign affiliate. Letter B. The entity declined to present a statement of cash flows. Letter C. The auditor wishes to emphasize an accounting matter. Letter D. The prior year's financial statements are not being presented, so no reference to them or a predecessor's report is needed. Correct answer is letter D. Explanation. Letter D is correct because when only the current year is being presented, there's simply nothing from the prior year that the report needs to reference. The other three situations each involve a real, substantive issue, an unaudited investment, a missing cash flow statement, or something the auditor wants to emphasize, that would call for some kind of report modification regardless of how many years are presented. Question number 7. An entity presents comparative financial statements in which the prior year was compiled and the current year was audited. What is the proper reporting procedure? Letter A. The auditor must decline to report on the comparative presentation entirely. Letter B. The current year's audit report must be silent about the prior year's compilation. Letter C. The prior year's compiled statements must be re-audited before any report is issued. Letter D. The report on the prior period may be reissued alongside the current report, or the current report may include a separate paragraph describing the responsibility assumed for the prior period. Correct answer is letter D. Explanation. Letter D is correct because standards give the auditor two workable options in this mixed service situation: reissue the original compilation report next to the new audit report, or add a paragraph to the current report explaining what level of responsibility the auditor is taking for the prior, compiled period. Neither declining the engagement nor staying silent about the mismatch would be appropriate. Question number 8. An auditor reissues an audit report on financial statements that have not been restated. What date should the reissued report use? Letter A. The date the report is being reissued. Letter B. A dual date referencing only the reissuance. Letter C. The original date of the audit report. Letter D. The date of the most recent subsequent event known to the auditor. Correct answer is letter C. Explanation. Letter C is correct because keeping the original date makes clear that the auditor has not gone back and examined anything that happened after that original date. Using a newer date, or referencing subsequent events, would incorrectly suggest the auditor updated their work when they haven't. Question number 9. A successor auditor reports on comparative financial statements, and the predecessor auditor's report is not being reissued. What should the successor's report include? Letter A. The predecessor auditor's name and a copy of their original report. Letter B. Nothing about the predecessor auditor, since only the successor's opinion matters. Letter C. A qualified opinion on the prior period, regardless of what the predecessor concluded. Letter D. Another matter paragraph noting that another auditor audited the prior period, along with the date, type of report issued, and reasons if it was other than a standard report. Correct answer is letter D. Explanation. Letter D is correct because the reader still deserves to know that the prior period was audited by someone else, even without seeing the predecessor's name or full report. Another matter paragraph gives just enough context, the date, the type of opinion, and why, if it wasn't a standard report, without the successor auditor speaking for the predecessor's work. Question number 10. A continuing auditor has audited both years of financial statements being presented on a comparative basis. What is the correct form of the audit report? Letter A. One audit report that covers both years. Letter B. Two separate audit reports, one for each year. Letter C. One report covering only the most recent year, with the prior year unreported. Letter D. The auditor may choose between one or two reports at their discretion. Correct answer is letter A. Explanation. Letter A is correct because when the same auditor has audited both years being presented, a single report simply covers the whole comparative presentation. There's no need, or option, to split it into separate reports or to leave one year unaddressed.